A 3-year Falklands Peat Wetlands project started last year, with Falklands Conservation trialling research techniques amongst some of the nation's most stunning locations. The project's purpose is to gather up strong data to help drive sound stewardship of these vital carbon capturing habitats, with estimates suggesting the Falkland Islands has experienced an alarming 80% loss of original tussock peat wetland habitats. With research methods now finally honed after last year's work, Conservation's Peat and Wetlands Officer and Project Lead, David Higgins, is using Year 2 to begin the first surveys of the season on West Falkland. A ferry trip across to the west was followed by a drive to Fox Bay before work could begin, as on arrival, preparations for the key surveys needed to be made. This began outside, measuring up pieces of rope that would help guide accurate areas for plant surveys to take place within.
We're here at Fox Bay getting ready for a trip over to the far side of Long Mountain. We're going to start our first surveys of the season on the Peat Wetlands project. So what I'm doing now is setting up the X-plots, and the X-plots are a 200 metre square quadrat that's split into nested quadrats. And the idea of that is that within the first quadrat we'll identify all the plant species we see, and then in the next quadrats we only identify the species we haven't already seen. And that'll give you an idea of your species areas relationships.
Back inside and in shelter from the rain, time-lapse cameras needed to be set up. The idea behind this surveying method is that, if set up in the right position, the cameras will capture the timings and numbers of a chosen section of orchid species flowering on Long Mountain in the west, which will then help to indicate the health of the peatland being surveyed.
I'm going to set these cameras up to record once an hour through daylight hours, and we'll have them out till January, February time. It's not quite November now, which means then we should get them emerging, coming into flower, and then dying back at the end of the season as well.
As well as storing an estimated 934 metric tonnes of carbon, which amounts to a forest the entire size of the archipelago, Falklands Peat Wetlands are home to diverse wildlife, including invertebrate communities. The study of these communities could prove to be especially interesting, as a rich invertebrate community can help support larger wildlife, and are thought to be key to important processes, including decomposition and nutrient recycling. After spending the majority of the day travelling and setting up the kits, there was still time to attempt to take some invertebrate samples at Limblake Nature Reserve, just outside of Fox Bay.
I've brought the vacuum sampler, which is just a leaf blower converted into a vac sampler. And what we do with that is we use it to try and hoover up invertebrates from the ground. So that's your beetles, your weevils, your spiders, that kind of stuff. The survey method is 1 metre squared, 5 20-second goes on the vac sampler. We've done that and we've found absolutely nothing in there apart from one spider. I did notice a spider, and I think there's a few reasons for that. Could be user error. The other thing it could be is the fact that it's a really windy day, it's rained a lot and it's very cold, and invertebrates tend not to move around in those kind of conditions too often. Equally, they will be adapted to that in the Falklands, so we're going to keep trying with this vac sampler and see if we can actually get anything. We're going to try it again tomorrow as well when we go over to the other side of Long Mountain.
So, day one may not have been a roaring success in terms of data collection, but with new pieces of kit tested and working, everything was in place for the Peat Wetlands survey season to build momentum at Long Mountain the following day.